Libertations, my friends. Sorry, we had a couple of little snafus. It looked like Facebook deleted our live and I had to like reset it up. And I haven't done this a whole lot before. So, yeah, fun times, fun times. And, you know, Kara's probably going to tell you what happened to her, so I'll let her tell you when she gets here. But thank you guys for being here tonight. This is Libertarian Party of Indiana. I'm your chairman, Evan McMahon. I'm happy to be here with you guys tonight on this Wednesday evening in February. And tonight we're going to be talking about something that I think is critically important, especially since we've been seeing that there's some activity going on in some of our communities in Indianapolis and Fort Wayne and South Bend. So tonight we have the wonderful Cara Schulz, who is an elected libertarian in Minnesota. She's been on the front lines there, as you guys can imagine. And tonight she's going to be talking to us about how to resist tyranny in your local communities. So without any further ado, I'm going to bring up my good friend Cara.
Hi.
Hello, how are you?
Hopefully my mic is working and everything's good.
Let's see. I'm going to check this mic here for a second. It looks really low. Let's see if I can turn your mic volume up. I cannot.
Let's see. So I can try a different mic.
How's it sound to everybody in Facebook land? Throw a comment in and tell us how it sounded.
Let me know. Like, can you hear me or not hear me or?
Oh, they can hear us both. So there we go.
All right, then that's good. All right. So, if I look like I've been in a car wreck, I have. I was just in a car accident. And in fact, I was zooming home from the doctor to try to get here in time for this training. So little bit of an exciting afternoon for me.
Yeah, that's when she messaged me. She said, "Hey, I'm gonna be a little bit late. I was in a car accident and I'm at the doctor's office." And I was like, "Oh no, that's horrible. Are you okay? And can you still get here on time?"
Right? Yeah. It was quite a deal. But yes, I was able to get here in time, and yeah.
Excellent. So I'm going to let you run this show.
All right.
So I'm going to let you just talk, and if I see some questions in the chat, I'll throw them up on the screen. But I'm gonna let you have the whole screen and do your thing.
Okay. All right. Sounds good. So yes, I am in Minnesota, and I am an elected official in Minnesota. I am a city council member in Burnsville, Minnesota. And I am speaking, though, as myself. I'm not speaking on behalf of the city. So just that disclaimer is out of there. So we have been seeing an incredible amount of activity from ICE. And I don't care what you've seen in videos or anything like that. It's many, many times worse than any of that shows. And to give you an idea, and I don't think a lot of people realize this, we've had over 3,000 ICE and Border Patrol in Minnesota, in the Minneapolis area, for about 2 months now. And it has just been, it has been unreal. And so we have had to ramp up how we're going to react, and we've had to do that in real time. We had heard from some other communities, oh, this might be happening, learned some lessons from them. And so I'm hoping to pass on the lessons that we had to learn very quickly and under very hothouse conditions to all of you. And what I would tell you is be ready. Maybe you won't see 3,000 agents in your area. Maybe you will, because they're looking at having 20,000 plus agents in the country, right? But the other thing is they might send them into your community for a couple weeks and then pull them back out. They might be there for months. They might be there for a day and back out, and then another day and back out. The randomness is part of this, right? They don't want you to be able to plan and have any stability whatsoever. This is very purposefully destabilizing. So let me let you know some of the impacts that we've had. A lot of employees will not go to work, and they may be citizens, they may have green cards, they will not go to work. And people say, oh, well, if you have papers, you should be fine. The thing is, even if you have papers, even if you are a citizen, it's not fine. It's not fine for them. Because what happens is they could be driving to work, they could go to work, they could be taking their kid to school, they could just be taking the garbage outside of their home. And as ICE is driving through and they spot someone, they will grab them. They will very violently grab them, pull them in the car, and then they start sorting things out, sometimes in the car. So sometimes what will happen is the person will show their ID and they're a citizen and all that kind of stuff. They have their passport, and they'll dump them out like miles away from their home, miles and miles away from their home. Just dump them out. And a lot of times they take their phone from them so that like they can't call anyone. Or they might take them to a detention facility, and then they'll say, we'll sort this out later. And if they go to a detention facility, maybe it gets sorted out there. But if it's not sorted out within 12 hours, they're flown to another location. In Minnesota, usually they're flown to Texas. And then it can take days there to get sorted out. And if it is sorted out and they're supposed to be here and there's US citizens and all that good stuff, they'll dump them out on the street there. And they'll dump them out on the street there without any of their documents, without their wallet, without their phone, a lot of times without a coat, like nothing. And they have no way to contact anyone. And then they have to figure out how to get back to Minnesota. So that is why you have residents who, like, they will not go to work. They will not leave their home, right? And so what's happening to businesses is there's a huge decline in foot traffic. And it's not just because of immigrants or even brown-looking citizens. It's because other residents won't go out because they see these chaotic grabs. They're scared these businesses are going to be raided. They don't want to be in the business when it's raided. They see ICE driving through communities, blowing through stop signs and stop lights without putting their lights on. And so there's car crashes. And when there is a car crash, ICE will just leave the scene of the accident. Like they will just leave. Like there will be car accidents and they will just leave. And so people see that. So foot traffic is really down, not just in immigrant-owned businesses all across the area. And then, like I said, we're seeing these car crashes. We're seeing car crashes, not even of someone getting chased, like just ancillary people hurt. We're seeing property damage, safety risks. The list goes on and on and on and on and on, right? And so the goals of ICE's operation, they're looking at suppression through fear and randomness, okay? So they don't want people to protest. They don't want people to organize or oppose them. They really do not want you to record what they're doing. They do not want video evidence of what they're doing because they're losing their butts in court, and they know that. So they really do not want you to record. And so it's very random on if they react to you or not react to you. You could be following them, which is legal. It is legal to follow them in a car, safe distance, and they may just ignore that. They may engage like high speed and start blowing through lights, or they may just stop in front of you, force your car to stop, smash your window, pull you out, and then take you into one of the detention centers where you'll sit for like 4 to 8 hours and then be released. So it's very random. Same as when people are protesting at places, right? So at some of the detention centers, they will protest. They'll tell you there's an area you have to stand behind, and people will stand behind them. And in Minnesota, they have fences. But randomly, they will run out and grab people, even if they're behind the line or behind the fences. They'll just randomly run out, mace everyone, start grabbing them, tear gas, the whole bit. And then they take that video and they use that video to show that protesters and ICE were, fighting. No, that's not what happened. The protesters a lot of times were just literally standing there talking, having coffee, and they do that. So they're looking at suppressing both immigrants. They want to terrify them so that even if they're here legally, they will leave. And they're also looking at suppressing any dissent and suppressing any ability for accountability through videotaping them. So the core principle that we've had to do is nonviolent disruption. And that is different than peaceful protest. Peaceful protest is you get a permit and you go protest and all that kind of stuff, right? Nonviolent disruption means you're not there to fight them, you're not there to engage with them, that kind of stuff, but you are there to document and record, right? You are also looking at doing things that make it more difficult for them to violate other people's rights. So the recording is a big thing, documenting is a big thing, following is a big thing, but also these helpful activities that have to go alongside it or none of this works. And that is delivering groceries to people, driving people to and from work, because there's license plate readers, right? And so ICE will put hits out for certain license plates. And when they see that car driving away and it gets a hit on the flock system, look up flock, they will pull that car over. And so driving people to and from work, walking kids to school and back, taking people to their medical appointments, paying for people's rent because they're not going to work, that type of thing. So that has to go together. So you have disruption, nonviolent disruption, which is following, videotaping, documenting, right? Blowing the whistle, calling attention to what's happening, asking for a warrant, all of those activities, that's nonviolent disruption. And then you have your support. And you need to have your support systems in place. So that's all that helping. The other support systems that you need to have in place are things like, we have people at the detention facility. They're there 24 hours a day. The only thing that they do there is they, as people are being released, because a lot of times they don't have shoes on, they don't have a coat, they have no documents, they don't have their phone, they have literally nothing, right? They don't have their purses. And a lot of times these are citizens, right? So these are observers who are just nabbed. They will greet them, they will put a blanket around them, give them a coat, ask who they can contact, drive them, get them back to their home, to their family, that type of thing. That's also some of that support system that has to go along, right? And you can't do everything. So people have to figure out what they're going to do. Are they going to be nonviolent disruptors, right? Or are they going to be support? And the reason why you really have to separate those two out is ICE will take a picture of your car. If you're a nonviolent disruptor, they'll take a picture of your face. They will find out who you are, where you live, your car, all that kind of stuff. And they will follow you and harass you. They'll show up at your house. They will start to follow you when you are driving around. And so if you're a person that's going to deliver groceries too, you're going to be leading ICE right to people who are vulnerable, and you can't do that. So those have to be entirely separate groups of volunteers, right? You also need support systems like get your pre-printed sheets that have all the contact information, legal aid, food assistance, rent assistance, how to contact the detention centers, how to look people up when they've been taken into custody by ICE. So you need to have those pre-printed sheets and be handing them out like crazy and always have them on you, because you never know what situation you're going to come across. Okay. So that's the system that we had to come up with. And it has been really effective. It has been extremely challenging, but it has been really effective. Many times when you're following ICE or Border Patrol, once they realize they're being followed, they'll pull over, they'll stop doing what they're doing. If they are doing an operation at someone's house, or they're trying to get them to come out, or there's, especially when they're around the bus stops and around kids, like they will immediately desist right when the camera phones come out, right? That's when they stop their activities, and they'll be like, okay, we got to regroup. So it is important to do these activities, and being able to help people not be out and about, like not have to go to work, not have to take their kid to school or daycare, not have to do all of those activities that take them out of their house, including even as simple as pulling the garbage can out and pulling it back in. Like we have neighbors that's what they do once a week. They pull their neighbor's garbage can out and they pull it back in, because literally anytime they step outside, they're in danger of being nabbed. And again, these are not necessarily people here who are here illegally. These could be people who have a green card or whatever, because now what they're saying is for people who have a green card is we need to re-examine your documents. So we don't think they're valid anymore, and we need to check all of your paperwork to see if there's an error in some point. And so even if you have a green card, like you can't go out. Like you can't leave your house. That's just how it is. So let me explain a little bit, like a kind of a day in the life kind of thing, because that will give you a better idea now that I've given you like the structure of what it looks like. So a day in a life, if you are an observer, right, you're going out, you're in a signal group, and these signal groups are created by you. This is entirely grassroots. So people will start a signal group, and it may be for like their little neighborhood, it could be for their city. And then anytime someone spots ICE, they put in there who they've spotted, right? And ICE likes to now hide their cars. Like they'll put like a plumbing and electrical sticker on the side. They'll wear those yellow vests to make it look like they're workers. And so when you see suspected ICE, person will take down the license plate number. They'll put it into the Signal chat. Signal chat will look at a unified Google Doc that just has confirmed ICE license plates on there. And it's not like they have access to any state database. It's just every time you see an ICE person and you know it's them, you would take a picture of their car and take a picture of their license plate and get it in there. So they confirm that it's ICE. You start following them. They may drive off. They may chase someone, but they will not follow any traffic laws whatsoever. They'll go the wrong way down a one-way. They will turn against a red light. They will blow through red lights. They will go in speeds in residential areas in excess of 60 miles per hour. But you cannot do that. You have to follow all traffic laws. So you'll say you followed ICE up to this point, they sped off, and this is where they're going. And then they may pass that on to the next city's signal chat saying, look out, here they come, they're coming on this street. Say they stop. They may stop, they'll section off neighborhoods, and they'll just go door to door. And they'll knock on every door that they believe, because they have a app on their phone. And any of you that have been door knocking, it's a very similar app. app. It shows all the houses on there, and then it has a score of probability of an immigrant living in a home. Now, this isn't, we know this person's there, we have a warrant, this person has done something bad, we have paperwork to remove that. None of that. It's a score on probability, kind of like how we have a score probability of, is it a Republican or a Democrat behind that door that I'm knocking? Same kind of thing. So they'll cordon off an area, a couple blocks, and they'll go door to door, and they're knocking, and they're just trying to get someone to answer. If someone answers and they're darker, they will take them in. That's how that goes. And no, I mean, are they using voter ID on the app? Yes, they're trying to use all of it. So the app is, the backbone of it is by Palantir. And so they're pulling in every bit of data that they can from every source that they can get. They may stop at a apartment building, and they'll go door to door in apartment buildings, and they'll try to get in the apartment building. Some apartment managers are happy to let them in, and they're like, yeah, go get these people, go get these people. Some apartment managers tell them, no, we will not let you in, and yet they'll try to get in anyway. If they can't get in, sometimes what they will do is they'll hit the fire alarm and see if they can get people to exit out their apartments that way. I was called to an apartment. A lady lived across the street from an apartment building, and she was an elderly lady. She didn't understand what was happening. When I got there, there were agents yelling towards the windows of the apartment buildings. Residents were yelling back, saying, we're not letting you out, we're not letting you in. And so there was like a lot of yelling back and forth. And so she didn't understand anything that was going on. And so I tried explaining to her, this is what's happening, that kind of thing. And then one ICE car started to pull out and drive around and drove past us. And keep in mind, it's just the two of us. We're standing on the sidewalk. They drove past us. They rolled down the window as they went past us, and they maced us both. They just maced us. So, that's the kind of thing you're dealing with. If you're in a neighborhood area and you are videotaping, what they will do is, if they're having an action, they will say, you have action taking place right here, right? They're trying to detain someone. And you're standing around here, back, but trying to document. You're not saying anything, you're not doing anything, you're just documenting. They'll bring more ICE agents in, and they'll say, you have to back up. And then those ICE agents will stand here, and they'll be like, oh, you're impeding me. Now, keep in mind, these guys aren't doing anything. The action's happening here. These guys are here. So you have to step back. Oh, now you're impeding. You have to step back. And they keep doing that wider and wider and wider. And they get to the point where they try to push you back from a block radius. And when I say they're not asking politely, it's F you, it's shoving you in your face, it's throwing you down on the ground, it's walking right up to you and macing you. The level of violence is extremely high, and it is immediate. So I do want to tell people, if you are planning to be someone that follows in a car, or you're going to be someone that videotapes, just understand there's a good probability that they may hit your car, because they will do that. They'll do a pit maneuver. They'll hit a quarter panel of your car to spin you out and stop you. They will break your window, cut your seatbelt off, and pull you out through the window, and then take you into detention for several hours. There's a high probability of that. If you are videotaping them, there is a really, really high probability that you're going to be maced or tear gassed. And I'm not saying you're yelling. I'm not saying you're in their way. That's just how it is. So you need to be prepared for that. So you can get training, and there's different groups that do observer training. And the observer training is basically know your rights. They're going to violate your rights. but you need to know your rights and you need to document it and how to document it. For one thing, when you are videotaping ICE, and I'm going to tell you all this right now, don't do this. Because this gives a wider field of the action that's taking place, because a lot of times things are happening in the periphery. You think this is the main action, and really something illegal is happening over here. Don't carry a jug of milk. I'm just going to tell you right now. If you need to clear your eyes from tear gas, here's my tip. You need water with just a few drops of No More Tears baby shampoo in it. Milk, because the tear gas and mace can scratch your corneas. That can get some infection. So there's my tip. So when you are videotaping, remember, always go horizontal. And that observer training will train you on those things, what to say in response. So when you're driving and you're following and ICE stops you and this is your one warning, this is illegal, you will know exactly what to say back to them. And there's many groups that are doing this. And this training, Indivisible is one of those groups. ACLU is another group. Institute for Justice is another group. So those are groups, and I would highly suggest that you get that training. The other thing is, no one's going to do this for you. So if you're waiting for someone else to start one of these groups, stop. You've got to do it. Like, make the group, make the Signal group, post about it on social media. People will ask if they can join in. Join in. That's what you need to do. You also need to start to talk about how do not open your doors without a judicial warrant. And you need to get that information out to your community. You do not open your door without a judicial warrant. Not an administrative warrant, a judicial warrant. Could they still kick down the door anyway? Yes, and they have, and they've said they will. But it's important. Judicial warrant. You can also do some things to make it a little more difficult to boot your door in. Your door frame. Take those little screws out, right, on the hinges, and you put 3-inch suckers in there. You can do that in apartments as well. So there are some things you can do, but really, if they're going to come in, they're going to come in. But remember, judicial warrant, and you've got to get that information out there. And that's on one of those sheets of paper, know your rights. Like if you Google know your rights for ICE, you will come up with a lot of different templates that you can then print and hand out. Understand what ICE can and cannot do under federal law and local law. Doesn't mean that they won't go against those rights, but you should know what those are and be able to articulate them, because sometimes when you're articulating them back, they're like, oh, yeah, you know, right? Because you know. For filming and documentation, it is legal. It is absolutely legal to do. They're saying you're impeding. The other challenge and why they're taking people in is because they're calling it doxing and assault, to take a photo or a video of any agent performing their duties out in public. Now, we all know that that's a lie. You know it's a lie. This has gone all the way up to SCOTUS. Like, it's not a thing. But that is the official position of the DOJ. So understand. Now, let's talk about some safety protocols for documentation. You do have to maintain a little bit of distance. I'm just telling you that. Use protective gear. You do want eye goggles on. I'm telling you, you want eye goggles on. You want to have your bottle of water that does have the few drops of No More Tears, baby shampoo in it for washing eyes and your face and everything else it touches, because the mace that they're using is supposed to be for large crowd and it's supposed to be dispersed at a distance, but they will come up this far from your face and they will just hose you down with it. It gets really bad, so you'll want something right away to kind of wash off. You do want an outer layer of clothes that you can throw away. So like putting a windbreaker over your coat is a really good idea. Having a hood on is a really good idea. And then if you get really maced or tear gas, because that stuff is so hard to get out, you can throw that shell away. You do want grippy shoes that you can run in. I don't know how else to say it. When the tear gas starts and when the macing starts, people start running. They can't see, and they start running into each other. There's a lot of falls. There's a lot of injuries. ICE agents are striking people with batons. They are tasing people. It just gets really chaotic really fast. So anytime you're doing anything such as a protest or observing, always have in your mind every single second, how do I get out of here? How do I get out of here as quickly as I can? You'll also, no matter what you're doing, I don't even care if you're delivering groceries, walking kids to school, you're going to want to have contact numbers written on your arm in Sharpie. So for an attorney, rapid response team, family member, you're going to need that written on your arm with Sharpie. And you can prearrange things, especially with legal aid, especially if you know there's going to be a protest action opposed to an observer action, where people are just, they're ready to bail you out. So that's individual level grassroots effort. But there's things that you can do at your city level, if your city will do it, that can help you prepare as well. And again, everything that I'm saying, have this ready now. Don't be scrambling in the moment, because they come in like a ton of bricks. It's everywhere. It's intense. It's very, 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 very violent. It's confusing. And then they're gone for a little bit and then they're back. So have it ready now. But here's things you can do at the city. So your city can do certain policies. You could prohibit ICE from using city property for staging. Will they still use the city property for staging? Maybe. But generally, when a city has said you can't do that, they've been okay with it. You can have cities protect residential data. So no sharing any data without a judicial warrant. So no data sharing. Make sure that's not happening. Make sure if your city has flock license plate reader cameras or is considering it, get those out. They are touted as being amazing for finding people if they go missing. That's not what flock cameras do. Flock cameras are a license plate reader, but they also read everything on the car, right? Yep, and I do know that it requires all cities and counties to support ICE, but there's ways you can do it without not doing it. So they don't just read, they read like what bumper stickers are on the car. They attach it to your file. They notice if there's been an accident to your car. They notice where you drive, if your driving patterns change. So flock cameras do a lot more than that. And although they say there's not data sharing with the feds, they lie and they keep getting caught with the lies. Yep, and flock is everywhere. How you can get flock removed from your area is, or not instituted, is number one, showing that they lie. They lie all the time. And vendors that lie, cities should not do business with them. You cannot do business with a lying vendor. How can you trust that vendor? Especially when it's with sensitive data. And they have been caught and sued multiple times for sharing sensitive data. And a city can be held responsible for that too. And so a city could pay damages as well. So that is a huge one. Get them out. You've for multiple reasons, but for this, get them out. And then ensure that your police department is prioritizing local safety. Even when there is a state law saying you have to cooperate, what police can do in a state where there's mandated cooperation is police can stand in between residents and ICE. And so when you are videotaping and it's a protected activity and you tell police we are, we're videotaping, they can kind of stand between you so that if ICE is going to beat you, tase you, mace you, gas you, they have to go through police first. And so that needs to be the understanding. The other thing is there has to be a discussion at the city level of what are their policies going to be dealing with ICE, right? So how long will police keep their own body cam footage? If a person says my rights have been violated, I want that footage to do a future lawsuit. Will they do that? The other thing is, will ICE prevent your fire or your EMS from getting to people? And we are seeing that over and over, whether they cause a car accident or they injure someone. ICE will literally stand between and not allow ambulance or fire or EMS to help that person. So you have to have the discussion with your city. Well, what are our policies going to be? Are we going to allow that? Or are we going to insist that no, medical aid needs to happen? So that needs to go forward. You can have counsel, of course, making a statement, resolutions, things like that. I don't know how. That's not really going to help. But you can do it. I will say that ICE is not one bit. They are. Sometimes they will back off if police are there, and they won't be as violent. Other times they will be absolutely as violent, and they will be as violent to police. So, the other thing that a city can do, or you can do, usually it's you, is to have signs for businesses that they can put up. Can ICE enter the public area of a business? Absolutely, they can. So the sign on the door saying you're not allowed in here, that doesn't matter. However, what they can do is they can put a sign on the private staff only areas that say you cannot enter this area without a judicial warrant. That they cannot do. So that is a sign that you can get those printed out, and you can get those handed out to businesses and ask them, would you put them up? Will you allow staff to go into the private area and not come out if ICE comes in? Like, will you do this, right? So, those are other little things that you can do. There are some really high risk crises and scenario situations that we see. ICE does target parents at schools, and what happens is it leaves kids unattended. Like there will be someone to pick up a kid or drop a kid off, and they will take the parent, and the kid is left there. And by kid, I don't mean teenager, I mean little kid. We've also had accidents where not an accident really. So what ICE did is they did a pit maneuver, hit the car, stopped it, took the driver, and there's an infant strapped in the back seat, and they just leave. They will leave. So you have to realize that bystanders and the city and the county need to be prepared to step in to take care of these kids. And they may be left there. They may be left in a home. They may be left on a sidewalk. They will just leave them. The other thing that they will do is they will try to grab kids walking to or from school, and then they will stand outside the parent's home with the kids and try to use that child to lure the parent out, saying that if the parent doesn't come out, they will take the kid to detention. Keep in mind, these are like preschool kids. These are daycare kids. So those are real high risk scenarios, especially when it's involving minors. The challenge is you can't put a lot of information out there about minors, and they know that, and they know it's a little bit of a bind. They also know that the news media won't show a lot with a minor. Like, they'll try to blur them out. They'll do those kind of things. They won't put the name out there. And so they count on that. The other thing that we're going to be looking at, and I want to be really clear about this, they are already talking about having ICE near polling locations, and to have ICE at polling locations outside of the areas, and to start checking for citizenship papers as you're going up to vote. So that is something that we're going to see. And that is something that we need to start planning a strategy for, because there are certain precincts, certain counties, which swing one way or another, right? They have a margin where if they just do a small amount of voter suppression, they can swing an election. So that is something that I think we're going to see coming up. And so we need to start planning for that now. I don't yet have an action plan for that, but we are going to see that. So I would like to open this to questions, and I'm going to scroll back through to some questions. And hopefully this was helpful, but I want to reiterate, no one else is going to do this organization. There are not organizations coming in to do this. This is you do it. Like, this is what we did in Minnesota. It's all just grassroots. Everyone's pitching in, doing what they can. And someone will say, I need this. And someone else will say, great, I'll do it. I'll give you money for it. I'll do whatever. The action that has taken place in Minnesota, it has been utterly Herculean. It has been Herculean. And I will tell you that most of the effort is going to fall to women. That's just the reality of it. Most of this is going to have to be done by women. It's just the optics of it. So, okay, so I'll look for questions. And Evan, if you also have questions.
Yeah. So one of the questions, and I was waiting, I didn't pop it up on screen because I was waiting. I figured I'd ask you is, you talked about, the sheet of information, the contact information. When I used to protest back in the 90s, we wrote on our arms in permanent marker the lawyer's number, the journalist's number, our medical contact, all that good stuff. So on the sheet, one of the things that you mentioned was telling people how to find out how to locate somebody in a detention center.
Yes.
How do we learn how to do that? Like, once we know that there are a couple of places that are going to be detention centers. How do we learn how to do that so we can make these sheets? Like, I've got a list of a bunch of immigration support services that we've worked with. We've gone and spoken with their groups and said, hey, you're legal, you're lawful, you're here, you're under a protected status, you've got a green card, you're here on asylum. Libertarians are going to stand here in front. We're the ones that are going to help you. Please let us know how we can help. But so we've got that list. How do we know how to look somebody up so we can put that on?
Contact those groups. So groups that work in immigration, they will already be compiling a lot of this information. So ask them for the sheet to hand out to people that has all that contact information. They will most likely have it and have it for your area. And they'll have it nationally, like when someone's entered into the system. But here's the challenge when someone gets taken, right? So someone gets nabbed. They will shuttle them to different states. And every few days, they'll shuttle them to a different state. And they do that so that they can't be located in the system. and they will do that so the attorney can't get a hold of them and has to keep filing in different jurisdictions, right? And so they try to do that long enough that they can just expedite a deportation, or once they finally figure it out, oh well, shit, it's a citizen, or oh no, this, the attorney actually did get a hold of them, their paperwork's in order, they'll dump them in whatever state. So that's the other support system that you have to start hooking up, which is
how to get people back home. Yeah.
Because they will dump, I'm not kidding when I say they will dump them out on the street without even their shoes.
Yeah.
So, and when people are taking as an observer, like if you're an observer, they will take you out in the country in the winter without your coat and they will dump you.
Yeah. Years ago, I participated in a program in New York where I was a passenger in a van that drove, people who were asylum seekers, green card holders, what have you. And it was when ICE was ramping up back then. They drove them in the vans, and there was one person in charge of driving, and then there was one person who sat in the passenger seat who was the mouse, who was the one who said, that's an administrative warrant, piss off. And to be very mouthy, and I'm sure you can guess which role they put me in. And so we drove people to immigration hearings, court hearings, hospitals, their lawyers, things like that. The difference was back then, one, they were all wearing uniforms.
Right.
And two, they had their faces showing, and they backed off. When you exerted the rights and said that's an administrative warrant, you don't have the right to come into this vehicle and detain someone, piss off.
They don't do that now.
And yet now, and so I was asked, hey, do you want to come back? And I was like, I'm going to get shot in the face. So it's very scary, but
scary.
We have to be willing to stand up for our neighbors, for the people in our communities, and let them know that we're here for them. Part of being a patriot is standing up for the people in your country. And I didn't say the citizens of your country, I said the people in your country. So I'm really glad that everybody's here watching this tonight, and I'm going to talk to some of the groups and see if we can get a flyer printed up. Maybe they probably already have them. See if we can do that. I'm definitely, I shared the link to the printable red cards from the it's covered up, the Immigrant and Refugee Health Alliance, and there's a couple others. It's just I happen to know this one, and I've seen these red cards before. It's printable, downloadable. I'm definitely going to be printing some up on my own. I have boxes of yellow cardstock. It's not red, but it's yellow. To print these up, I encourage other people to do it too. And your gut tells you to do it in English and in Spanish. But they provide other languages, and it's something that you really should think about, because in our communities we have Arabic, Pashto, Portuguese, Punjabi, Korean, Vietnamese. They have a link to other sources for different types of cards, and there's two that are very important for the Indianapolis, Greenwood area, and that's Burmese and Nepali. Because we have a very large Burma population. When they were going through the turmoils, there were a lot of immigrants that came here to Indianapolis and Greenwood, and they're being targeted too. So, as many languages as you can carry, try to carry. I know that, the Amazon Fulfillment Center here in Indianapolis has a large population of Haitian immigrants who are here on protected status. And they're being targeted. And
even if the court says, "Oh, you can't violate that," they will violate.
Yeah, and the court said they're protected status. You can't just randomly do this, and they tried to cancel the protected status, and the court said, "Nah, you can't do that." And they're like, "We don't care. We're still going to send you to El Salvador to was it Pequot?"
Yeah. And there's a activism place for everybody. So say you're not someone that can drive around, or you're not someone that can, do those kind of. Okay, well, you could be the person that starts the signal group. You could be the admin. Okay, just that, like just getting your signal group going. You need tow truck drivers because let me tell you, when ice goes through, cars are littered everywhere, like abandoned cars.
Mhm.
And if they go to an impound lot, there is a charge every single day for getting that car. If you have arranged for some friendly tow truck drivers, they can get those cars back at least to where the people lived and have that happen without a charge. Um, you could be the person that updates and checks the license plate sheet, right? Yeah, so when someone in Signal says, I think I suspect there's an ICE person here, and you could be the person that looks it up. So if you're someone that's like just sitting at home and you can read a spreadsheet, like you could do that. You could be someone that donates. You could be the person that um, goes to the churches and helps pack the food. Um, you could be the person to ask your church if they're going to start doing this. And if they're not, why not? Like,
Yeah.
get assertive about this. So
Yeah.
Start asking people to step up.
Yeah. I think that's I grew up in an era of protest and was very active and very loud. And I literally traveled to other states to protest neo-Nazi barbecue and Klan rallies. And I got beat up, I got maced, I got tased a couple of times, had my hands broken, my camera smashed. And it was all nonviolent, peaceful
Yeah.
interaction on our end. We weren't doing anything to provoke. We were just there protesting and chanting. Um, and what I've seen over the years is the biggest thing that you can do is to step forward and say, how can I help?
Yes.
That's that's the biggest thing and the hardest thing for people to do. And what I want you to ask yourself is, would you hope somebody would step up if this was you being targeted? Because I promise you, it's going to be you one day.
Oh, yeah. They're not building all these detention centers to, to house illegal immigrants. And I know this sounds like tinfoil hat stuff, but you do not need that many detention centers all across the country at the level they're looking at doing and converting these warehouses to house persons who are here illegally.
Yeah.
That is not it.
Yeah, because they're not housing them. They're putting them on planes pretty quickly.
Yeah, they are.
So why do you know? I mean, there was one that I saw that looks like 5 super Walmarts and a Costco crammed together. And I'm like, that's unreasonable. That's not, no. Math isn't mathing here. That's too many spaces for the
Well,
operation you're talking about.
that and every time they're taking a picture of you or your license plates or that kind of
Yep.
stuff. And I know that there is a lawsuit filed now to get information. Are they really compiling a database of domestic terrorists?
Well,
But I will
there's
tell
the
you that they do know who you are. Like when you're
yeah,
driving around, like they will say your name and address to you.
yeah.
Like
There
you'll
was
be
there was
standing
that
there
woman.
videotaping and you'll see them quick do a picture of you and then they'll, oh, hi, Cara. And they'll say your address to you.
That woman, we saw the video. She was driving. She had been following safely, and that was all recorded. And then they followed her, and then there were 2 cars, one behind her, and then one swam in front of her, and then slammed on its brakes. They pinned her in,
Yes.
and then smashed her windows, and then took a photo of her, and were like, "Well, we'll find you later." And I'm like, this is exactly what the Fourth Amendment is supposed to be protecting us from.
They
And
will
but
tell you that they're going to come to your house later.
yeah, yeah, and we've
And they
already
will
seen
come to your house
that
later.
happening. Yeah, come to your place of business, do all of those things. Um, I just want everybody to know that if anything happens to me, I'm happy. I'm very happy in my life. I'm not depressed. I don't drive. My heart scans came out great. So, yeah.
Yeah.
If I get Clintoned, I was Clintoned.
Yes.
Um, so does anybody else have any questions in the comments? I think we hit the big one that most people were asking was how do we start this? And it's just step forward, start talking to signal groups. Me personally, I'm going to reach out to the groups that I know, the immigration groups that I know, and see if they already have these flyers ready to go. I'm going to be printing up some of the Know Your Rights cards, the red cards, but we'll call them Yellow Liberty cards.
Yep.
And see if we can step up from there. But we need to be there for our communities, for our neighbors, and show that when everybody else was cosplaying as patriots and warriors and defenders of the Constitution, we actually mean it in the Libertarian Party.
Yeah, and seriously, ask your churches, what are they doing? What are they doing? Like, ask them point blank, what are you doing? And we need to be doing something. So let's start doing something, especially since you are in a state where it is mandated that police and cities have to assist. So it's got to be churches that stand against this.
Before we break, I just want to thank you for coming on here and doing this and leading this. I think it's important. I hope other state parties do this as well, and have these kinds of conversations, getting people thinking about how they can resist tyranny in their communities. And as a plug, I want to remind everybody that the state convention is coming up March 20th through the 22nd, and on March 21st in Fort Wayne, at our awards dinner, we will have Congressman Justin Amash there as our keynote speaker. It's open to the public, and you don't have to be a member, you don't have to be a delegate. Anybody can buy a ticket to the convention, to the dinner. But it's a great time. Come and hang out, meet Justin Amash. I won't have adorable kitties there, but you can find out more at LPIN.org and just click the annual convention button up at the top, and it has all of the details. Would love to see a packed room for Congressman Amash. This is the first time we've gotten here to Indiana, so let's make him feel welcome with a big, huge, packed room full of people. Cara, thank you so much for all that you do. You've been doing this for years in the party and outside of the party. And when the thing first started, people were talking about how they came to your training when you were here in Indiana a few years ago. I hope to see more of that happen too sometime soon across the country. So thank you so much, Cara. I greatly appreciate it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Remember, it's up to you guys.
And on that, thank you, everybody, and we'll see you next time.